The stars themselves seem to tremble in the darkness of space. Entire solar systems lie in ruins. Planets reduced to nothing but cosmic dust floating through the void. This is not the work of time or natural disaster. This is the aftermath of one being's rampage across the universe. What if I told you that in another timeline, another reality, Earth's greatest hero never existed? What if the child who was meant to become humanity's champion, the pure-hearted warrior who saved countless lives, instead became the very thing the universe feared most? His name was supposed to be Goku, but in this reality he calls himself by his true Saiyan name, Kakara. Picture this. A small space pod crashes into Earth's mountains, just as it did in the timeline you know. But this time, when the old man Gohan finds the crying Saiyan infant, when he reaches down to comfort the child, something goes differently. The baby doesn't hit his head. The programming remains intact. The mission stays clear. Eliminate all life on Earth. Young Kakarot grows strong under Earth's yellow sun, his power multiplying beyond what any Saiyan infant should possess. By age 5, he's stronger than most adult warriors of his race. By age 10, Master Gohan lies buried beneath the same mountains where he once trained. The child felt nothing. Saiyans don't mourn the weak. The Earth fell within a year after that. Cities burned. Heroes rose to stop him and fell just as quickly. Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, even the mighty Piccolo. One by one, they discovered the terrible truth. This Saiyan child wasn't just strong. He was getting stronger with every battle. Every near-death experience pushing his power to new heights. And he enjoyed it. Where our Goku found joy in protecting others, Dark Kakarot found ecstasy in destruction. Where our hero pushed himself to defend, this monster pushed himself to dominate. The gentle smile we know became a predator's grin. The warm eyes turned cold as Arctic storms. But Earth was just the beginning. Word of a Saiyan survivor reached the far corners of the galaxy. Prince Vegeta, away on a distant mission, received reports of Earth's destruction with mixed emotions. A low-class warrior had accomplished what even elite Saiyans struggled with. Pride in his race's power warred with something else, something he couldn't quite name. And in his grand ship floating through the cosmos, Lord Frieza felt a chill he hadn't experienced since the day he destroyed planet Vegeta. A Saiyan was loose in the universe, not just any Saiyan, but one growing stronger with each passing day. One who had already begun dismantling the careful order Frieza had built over centuries. 20 years have passed since Earth became a lifeless rock. 20 years of planet after planet falling to Dark Kakarot's might. The cold empire that once ruled through fear now knew fear itself. Frieza's armies scattered, his bases obliterated. The Emperor himself forced to flee like a common fugitive. But here's the thing about monsters. They're never satisfied. Dark Kakarot doesn't just want to rule. He wants to prove Saiyan superiority by eliminating every being strong enough to challenge it. And only 2 names remain on his list. 2 beings whose power still echoes across the universe. The Saiyan prince who should have been his leader. The emperor who enslaved their race. In the depths of space, on a world so remote its location appears on no star chart, 2 figures stand in the shadows. One tall and proud despite his battered armor. One smaller but radiating menace despite his diminished empire. They haven't moved for several minutes, each waiting for the other to speak first. Vegeta's voice cuts through the silence like a blade. I should kill you where you stand. Frieza's laugh is cold as stellar wind. You could try, monkey. But we both know why you won't. Because in the distance, cutting through space like a comet of destruction, Dark Kakarot is coming. And when he arrives, the question isn't whether they'll work together. The question is whether even together it will be enough. The stars continue to tremble, but now, for the first time in 20 years, it might not be for fear alone. A golden light streaks across the darkness between galaxies, and inside that light, Dark Kakarot smiles. He can sense them, both of them, together. How amusing. The first time Vegeta saw the footage, he didn't believe it. Security recordings from a dozen different worlds, all showing the same thing. A figure in orange and blue, moving faster than most cameras could track. The familiar spiky hair, now longer and wilder. The face that should have belonged to a third-class warrior, twisted into an expression of pure superiority. Play it again, Vegeta had commanded his ship's computer. And there it was! Planet Orcos, Frieza's ancestral home, reduced to space debris in less than an hour. The Galactic Patrol headquarters, once thought impenetrable, now a floating graveyard. The mighty warriors of Yardrat, masters of instant transmission, caught and eliminated before they could even teleport away. Each recording told the same story. Dark Kakarot would arrive, often alone, always confident. He'd give them one chance to kneel. When they inevitably refused, what followed wasn't a battle, it was an execution. He fights like a Saiyan, Vegeta muttered to himself in his empty throne room, but thinks like something else entirely. Because that was the terrifying truth about Dark Kakarot. He hadn't just kept his Saiyan instincts, he'd refined them. Where normal Saiyans fought with passionate fury, he fought with cold calculation. Where they sought worthy opponents for the thrill of battle, he eliminated threats with mechanical efficiency. The worst part? He was getting stronger. Every report showed power levels that shouldn't be possible. Each battle pushed him further beyond normal Saiyan limits. Vegeta had achieved Super Saiyan through rage and desperation, but Dark Kakarot seemed to transform at will, accessing forms that made regular Super Saiyans look like children playing warrior. "My prince," one of Vegeta's last remaining advisors had said, "perhaps it's time to consider..." Never. Vegeta's energy had flared, disintegrating the advisor instantly. "I don't run. Not from anyone. Especially not from a low-class warrior playing Conqueror." But that was 3 planets ago, before Dark Kakarot had tracked down Vegeta's secret training world and turned it into an asteroid field. Before the message written in the debris of Vegeta's own fleet. "Stop hiding, Prince! Face me, or I'll destroy every world that's ever sheltered you." Meanwhile, in another corner of the universe, Frieza experienced something he'd never felt before. Not when facing Super Saiyan Goku on Namek. Not even when Beerus had humiliated him. This was different. This was the slow, crushing realization that everything he'd built over centuries was being systematically erased. "Lord Frieza," Captain Ginyu's replacement stammered, "we've lost contact with sectors 7 through 15. "All of them?" Frieza's tail lashed against his throne. "Yes, my lord, the last transmission was just one word, Kakarot." Frieza closed his eyes. In his mind, he could still see that infant in the Saiyan nursery. Prince Vegeta had been the one to watch, everyone said. The prodigy, the chosen elite. But there had been another pod, another child whose power level fluctuated wildly. "I should have killed them all," Frieza whispered. "Every last Saiyan infant. No excesses." But regret was a luxury he couldn't afford. Dark Kakarot wasn't just destroying Frieza's sire, he was hunting Frieza personally. Each destroyed planet brought him closer. Each fallen army narrowed the search. "My lord," the replacement Ginyu continued, "there's more. We've intercepted communications from the Galactic Council. They're trying to contact both you and Prince Vegeta." Frieza's eyes snapped open. "Show me." The hologram that appeared was of a Namekian elder, one of the few survivors of New Namek's destruction. His words were simple. "Dark Kakarot cannot be stopped by any one being. The universe's only hope lies in the impossible. Emperor and Prince must unite, or all creation falls to the Dark Saiyan's rage." Frieza laughed, then he destroyed his throne. Then he laughed again. "Unite with that monkey prince? I'd rather die." But as another sector went dark on his star map, Frieza found himself thinking. Death was certainly coming. The question was whether pride was worth the extinction of everything. The universe itself had changed under Dark Kakarot's reign of terror. Trade routes that had existed for millennia now led through dead space. Peaceful worlds had become armed fortresses, though it never helped. The few remaining powers had retreated to hidden dimensions and pocket universes, abandoning the physical realm to its fate. And through it all, Dark Kakarot grew stronger. On a world whose name had been erased from all records, he stood among the bodies of its greatest warriors. His aura wasn't golden anymore. It had evolved into something else, something that made reality itself seem to bend around him. "Disappointing," he said to no one. "They called themselves the Universal Guard, the strongest fighters from 100 worlds, and not one of them could make me use more than 10% of my power." He sensed them, of course. Vegeta's pride blazed like a beacon across space. Frieza's malice was equally unmistakable. They were moving, both of them, toward the same coordinates. The Galactic Council's message had reached them. How amusing, Dark Kakarot mused. The Prince and the Emperor thinking they can stop what they created. Because that was the truth, neither would admit. Frieza's genocide had created the anger. Vegeta's obsession with Saiyan superiority had provided the ideal. Dark Kakarot was simply the logical conclusion of both their philosophies. He began walking toward his ship, leaving footprints in the ash of a civilization. 20 years I've waited for a real challenge. Perhaps together they'll provide a moment's entertainment. The ship's computer spoke as he entered. "Destination, Lord Kakarot." He smiled, and somewhere in the universe, stars flickered in fear. "Set course for the neutral zone. But take the long way. Let them arrive first. Let them wait. Let them wonder if I'm coming." His power flared, and the planet below finally gave up its struggle to exist, collapsing into itself. "After all," Dark Kakarot continued, his voice carrying the weight of absolute certainty, "the last thing they'll ever do should be memorable." In the vast darkness between galaxies, 2 ships altered course toward the same destination. One carrying the last Saiyan prince, wrestling with the choice between pride and survival. The other bearing the fallen emperor, calculating whether revenge could be achieved through alliance. Neither knew that Dark Kakarot had already chosen the battlefield. Neither suspected that their meeting was not just expected, but desired. The hunter was about to become the hunted, or so they hoped. But hope in this dark timeline had a way of dying quickly. The neutral zone had been chosen for one reason. No life had ever existed here. No worlds to destroy, no civilizations to mourn. Just empty space between three dead galaxies. A void so complete that even light seemed reluctant to travel through it. Vegeta arrived first. His ship, one of the last Saiyan vessels in existence, dropped out of hyperspace with its weapons powered down. He stood on the bridge, arms crossed, staring into the darkness. His armor was different now. Not the standard Frieza Force design he'd worn for decades, but something older. Saiyan battle gear from the Royal Archives, modified with technology salvaged from 20 different dead worlds. "Computer," he commanded, "scan for any signs of deception. No hidden fleets detected, Prince Vegeta. No energy signatures beyond normal space radiation." Vegeta's fists clenched. Every instinct screamed that this was wrong. Meeting with Frieza, considering an alliance with the creature who destroyed planet Vegeta, murdered his father, enslaved his people, the same monster he'd dreamed of killing for 40 years. "But I'm not the same warrior I was," he spoke to his reflection in the view screen. "And neither is the universe." Because that was what haunted Vegeta most. Watching Dark Kakarot's rampage, seeing a Saiyan achieve everything Vegeta had once desired. Ultimate power, universal fear, the acknowledgement that Saiyans were the superior race, and it sickened him. Is this what I wanted? The question escaped before he could stop it. Is this what Saiyan pride looks like without restraint? Every video of Dark Kakarot showed Vegeta a mirror of his younger self, amplified to nightmarish proportions. The contempt for weakness, the joy in destruction, the absolute certainty that might made right. But where Vegeta had eventually found something beyond pure power, Dark Kakarot had only found more reasons to destroy. A proximity alarm shattered his thoughts. Frieza's ship emerged from hyperspace like a predator breaking through water, sleek, deadly, and somehow smaller than Vegeta remembered. The Empire's flagship reduced to a personal transport. For a long moment, neither ship moved, neither warrior spoke. The silence stretched between them like a held breath. Then Frieza's voice crackled through the communication system. "Well, Monkey Prince, shall we continue glaring at each other like children, or would you prefer to discuss our mutual problem?" Vegeta's pride flared. "Watch your tongue, lizard. I came here despite every instinct telling me to blow you out of the stars. How fortunate for us both that you've learned to ignore your instincts. Perhaps there's hope for your species after all." The words should have enraged Vegeta. Instead, they just felt hollow. What was the point of their old hatred when a greater monster stalked them both? "Sending coordinates for neutral meeting ground," Vegeta said finally. "One ship, no weapons, no tricks." Frieza's laugh was bitter. "My dear Vegeta, if I wanted you dead, would I need tricks? But very well, let's play at being civilized." The docking bay they chose was a derelict space station, abandoned centuries ago. As Vegeta's boots touched the metal floor, he sensed Frieza's approach. The tyrant's power was carefully controlled, but Vegeta could feel the changes. Frieza had been training, pushing himself in ways the old Emperor never would have bothered with. They met in what had once been an observation deck. Stars wheeled slowly beyond cracked transparential windows. Neither spoke at first, each taking the measure of the other. Frieza looked different. The casual arrogance was still there, but tempered by something else. Caution? Fear? No, Vegeta realized. It was calculation. The Emperor was actually thinking before acting. "You've grown stronger," Frieza observed, "though still not strong enough." "Neither are you," Vegeta shot back, "or we wouldn't be here." "True." Frieza's tail swept across the floor. "Tell me, Prince, when you watch the recordings of Kakarot's conquests, what do you see?" The question caught Vegeta off guard. "I see a Saiyan without honor, without control." "Really?" "Because I see the perfect Saiyan warrior. Everything your race claims to value, taken to its logical extreme." Frieza's red eyes gleamed. "Isn't that what you wanted, to prove Saiyan superiority?" Vegeta's energy spiked, cracking the floor beneath him. "Don't compare me to that monster." "But he's not a monster, is he? He's exactly what I feared when I destroyed your planet. A Saiyan with unlimited potential and no restraints." Frieza floated slightly, bringing himself to Vegeta's eye level. "In trying to prevent this future, I created it, and you, Prince, in clinging to your pride, gave it purpose." The truth of it burned worse than any energy blast. Vegeta wanted to deny it, to rage against it, but images flashed through his mind. His own past brutalities, his speeches about Saiyan superiority, his contempt for the weak. "At least I changed," Vegeta growled. "At least I found something worth protecting besides my own power." "Yes," Frieza said quietly. "We both did, didn't we? How terribly inconvenient." The admission hung between them, two of the universe's greatest villains, forced to acknowledge their own evolution. Not redemption, perhaps, but change. Growth. Everything Dark Kakarot had rejected in favor of pure destruction. "So," Vegeta said finally, "what do you propose?" Frieza's smile was sharp as crystal. I propose we do something neither of us has truly done before. We trust each other, train together, combine your Saiyan battle instincts with my strategic genius and refined techniques. And if Dark Kakarot finds us before we're ready, then we die knowing we tried something beyond our nature. Frieza extended his hand. What say you, Prince of all Saiyans? Shall we save the universe we once terrorized? Vegeta stared at the offered hand. Every fiber of his being rebelled against this. His father's ghost seemed to rage in his ears, but stronger than that was the memory of planets burning, of civilizations screaming, of a monster wearing a Saiyan face. If you betray me, Vegeta said slowly, I'll kill you. Naturally. And I'll do the same. Frieza's hand remained steady, but until then, Vegeta clasped the tyrant's hand, and somewhere in the cosmic distance he could swear he heard Dark Kakarot laughing. The alliance no one could have predicted had just been born. The handshake lasted exactly 3 seconds before both warriors pulled away, each wiping their hand as if they'd touched something toyminious. The symbolism wasn't lost on either of them. They'd just done the impossible. Now came the harder part, making it work. Before we begin this farce, Frieza said, floating back to a safe distance, we should address the reality of our situation. Dark Kakarot isn't just hunting us, he's already 3 steps ahead. Vegeta's eyes narrowed. Explain. Haven't you wondered why the Galactic Council could contact us? Why our location remained hidden when entire intelligence and environments couldn't escape his notice? Frieza's tail swished in agitation. He's letting us meet this alliance, this desperate plan. It amuses him. The observation deck's emergency lights flickered, casting shifting shadows across their faces. Vegeta processed this information, his tactical mind already seeing the implications. He wants us together, Vegeta said slowly. Easier to eliminate both threats at once. Or, Frieza countered, he's so confident in his power that he wants us at our strongest. The ultimate proof of Saiyan superiority wouldn't be killing us separately. It would be crushing our combined might. A communication console, dead for centuries, suddenly sparked to life. Both warriors tensed, energy gathering around them, the screen filled with static before resolving into an image that made Vegeta's blood run cold. Planet Sedala. The original Saiyan homeworld, in the universe where it still existed. Cities burned. Saiyan warriors, proud and powerful, lay broken in the streets, and standing among them, his boot on the chest of their king, was Dark Kakarot. I thought you might be watching, Dark Kakarot's voice filled the chamber. Prince Vegeta, Lord Frieza, how touching to see you together. This is a recording, Frieza observed, though his voice carried an edge, from 3 days ago, judging by the stellar positions. Very good, Emperor. Dark Kakarot's image smiled. By now, of course, this universe's Saiyans are extinct. They fought well, better than most, but they had the same weakness as every other warrior I've faced. He paused, lifting the broken king by his throat. They believed in something beyond strength, honor, pride, protection of the weak. His grip tightened, and the king's struggle ceased. Pathetic ideals that dilute true power. Vegeta's fists clenched so hard his gloves tore. Watching Saiyans, even from another universe, fall to this monster wearing Kakarot's face was almost unbearable. I know you're forming an alliance, Dark Kakarot continued, dropping the body carelessly. Training together, planning strategies, perhaps even beginning to trust each other. His laugh was genuinely amused. Please, continue. I haven't had a real challenge in years. The screen shifted, showing star charts. Dozens of systems highlighted in red. All destroyed, but there was a pattern, a deliberate path of destruction. Do you see it? Dark Kakarot asked. Every world I've destroyed has been moving you toward this meeting. Every refugee who reached you, every message that found its way through the chaos, all orchestrated. You think you chose this alliance? I've been herding you like sheep. Frieza's control finally slipped. His golden form flashed briefly, power spiking high enough to crack the transparent steel windows. Temper, Dark Kakarot chided. Save that rage, Frieza. You'll need it, because I'm coming for you both. But first, I have other business. The Supreme Kais have hidden themselves well, but not well enough. Then the gods of destruction. And finally, when the universe acknowledges that no power can stand against a true Saiyan, I'll visit you. Unless, his image leaned forward as if sharing a secret, you come find me first. The coordinates are embedded in this message. The planet where I first learned to embrace my true nature, where an old man's weakness taught me that sentiment is death. The transmission cut, the coordinates burned in the air, holographic numbers that pointed to a world Vegeta recognized from the oldest Saiyan records, Earth, or what remained of it. Silence filled the observation deck. Both warriors stood motionless, processing what they'd learned. They weren't hunters preparing an ambush. They were prey being given the illusion of choice. He's insane, Vegeta said finally. No. Frieza's voice was thoughtful. That would be easier to fight. He's perfectly sane. He simply operates on different principles than anyone else. Pure social Darwinism taken to its absolute extreme. Then we have no choice. We train, we grow stronger, and we face him. On his chosen ground? At his chosen time? Frieza shook his head. That's exactly what he expects, what he wants. Vegeta turned sharply. Then what do you suggest? Run? Hide? Wait for him to finish with the gods and come for us at his leisure? I suggest, Frieza said carefully, that we stop thinking like the warriors we were and start thinking like the survivors we've become. Another alarm sounded, this time from Vegeta's ship. Long-range sensors had detected something approaching their location. Not Dark Kakarot. The energy signature was wrong, but powerful nonetheless.
Expecting company?
Frieza asked. No. Vegeta was already moving toward the docking bay. But whoever they are, they're moving fast. Too fast. They reached their ships just as the newcomer dropped out of hyperspace. The vessel was unlike anything in known databases, organic-looking, as if grown rather than built. It settled between their two ships without requesting permission, and a single figure emerged. She was young, perhaps 20 Earth years. Her hair was dark, her eyes carrying a familiar intensity. But it was the tail wrapped around her waist that made both warriors freeze. A Saiyan? Vegeta breathed. Not just any Saiyan, the woman said, her voice carrying authority beyond her years. My name is Kaya. I'm from the timeline where your worst nightmare began. And if you actually want to stop Dark Kakarot, you'll listen to what I have to say. Frieza recovered first. And why should we trust another Saiyan? Another potential threat? Kaya's expression hardened. Because I'm the daughter of the man Kakarot murdered first, son Gohan, and I've spent my entire life studying the monster who killed my father, looking for the one weakness nobody else has found. She looked between them, measuring their reactions. Dark Kakarot was right about one thing. You can't beat him with power alone, but he was wrong about strength being separate from connection. His isolation is his weakness, and your alliance, as unlikely as it is, might be the key to exploiting it. Vegeta and Frieza exchanged glances. Another player in the game, another variable Dark Kakarot might not have accounted for. Or had he? The abandoned station's training hall hadn't seen use in centuries, but it would serve their purpose. Kaya stood before a holographic display she generated from her ship, showing combat data that made Vegeta's scouter readings look primitive. 20 years I've tracked him, she began, her tail unwrapping from her waist in agitation. Every battle, every transformation, every moment of weakness. And yes, there have been moments. Impossible, Vegeta interjected. His power is absolute. His power is stagnant. Kaya's eyes flashed. When was the last time he truly struggled? When did he last push beyond his limits? Dark Kakarot made himself so strong that no one could challenge him, and in doing so, he stopped growing. Frieza floated closer to the display, studying the energy readouts. These patterns, he's using the same transformation repeatedly. No variation, no evolution. Exactly. Kaya manipulated the hologram, showing a comparison. Compare this to your battles, Prince Vegeta. Every time you've faced death, you've emerged stronger. Every defeat taught you something. But Dark Kakarot hasn't been defeated in 15 years. He's powerful, but predictable. Predictable doesn't mean defeatable, Vegeta growled. His base power still exceeds anything we can achieve. Separately, yes. Kaya turned to face them both. But that's why your alliance alarifies him, even if he won't admit it. You represent something he's never faced. True synchronization between warriors who understand each other's strengths. She gestured, and the display showed something new. Training scenarios, combat formations, fusion techniques. Frieza, your precise key control and tactical genius. Vegeta, your Saiyan instincts and adaptive combat style. Separately, you're powerful. Together, with proper synchronization, you become unpredictable. The one thing Dark Kakarot can't properly calculate. You speak of synchronization as if it's simple, Frieza said coldly. The Prince and I have decades of hatred between us. Good. Kaya's response surprised them. Use it. You know each other's moves because you've dreamed of killing each other. That intimate knowledge of your enemy becomes intimate knowledge of your ally. Who better to watch your back than someone who knows exactly where to strike? Vegeta processed this, his tactical mind seeing the logic despite his emotional resistance. What do you propose? First, we address your individual weaknesses. Kaya created two separate displays. Vegeta, your rage makes you powerful but reckless. Frieza, your precision is perfect but lacks the raw instinct needed against a Saiyan opponent. You need to teach each other. Teach? Vegeta's pride flared. What could this lizard possibly... Frieza's finger beam cut a perfect line across Vegeta's cheek before the prince could react. Not deep, just enough to draw blood. Lesson 1, Frieza said calmly. Your predictable pride. I've counted 17 different ways you telegraph your attacks when insulted. Dark Kakarot will have noticed the same patterns. Vegeta's hand went to his cheek, feeling the blood. His first instinct was to attack, to respond with overwhelming force. But he stopped. Frieza was right. His patterns were predictable. Fine, he ground out. And what about you? Your careful calculations mean nothing against Saiyan battle fury. Show me, Frieza challenged. What followed was unlike any training session either had experienced. Vegeta demonstrated the berserker fury of Saiyan combat, the way rage could push them beyond limits. Frieza countered with exercises in control, showing how precision could redirect that fury rather than meet it head-on. No, 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 Kaya interrupted their third bout. You're still fighting each other, not with each other. Watch! She moved between them, her power flaring. It wasn't overwhelming like Dark Kakaro's, but it had something else. Balance. She demonstrated a sequence of moves that combined Saiyan aggression with calculated strikes. My grandfather Gohan taught human martial arts to Kakarot before he died, she explained. Those techniques, that balance between control and instinct, died with him. Dark Kakarot rejected them as weakness, but they're not weak, they're adaptive. Hours passed. Days. The station's artificial gravity generators strained under their training. Slowly, painfully, they began to understand. Vegeta learned to harness his rage without being consumed by it. Frieza discovered that instinct could enhance calculation rather than oppose it. But it was their combined techniques that showed real promise. Again, Kaya commanded the synchronization attack. And this time, trust each other. Vegeta and Frieza stood back to back, energy gathering around them. In any other circumstance, this position would be suicide, exposing their backs to their greatest enemy. But as Dark Kakarot's threat loomed, old hatred seemed almost quaint. On three, Vegeta muttered. 1, 2, Frieza continued. 3. They moved as one, their energies intertwining in ways that should have been impossible. Saiyan Ki and Frieza's unique energy signature didn't mix. They complemented. Where one was weak, the other was strong. The resulting attack carved through their target dummy and the three walls behind it. Better, Kaya nodded. But Dark Kakarot won't stand still. He'll adapt, counter, overwhelm. You need more than combination attacks. You need to think as one warrior with two bodies. And how do you propose we achieve that? Frieza asked, breathing heavily. We're not Metamorphs who can simply fuse. Kaya's expression grew serious. No, but there's another way. A technique from my timeline, developed in desperation, mental synchronization through shared trauma. She produced a device from her ship, ancient-looking and covered in symbols neither recognized. This is a neural link, created by the last scientists of Earth. It allows warriors to share experiences, memories, even instincts. But warning, it shares everything, every moment of pain, every defeat, every fear. Vegeta and Frieza looked at the device, then at each other, to share their minds, even temporarily, when against every instinct they had. There must be another way, Vegeta said. There is, Kaya replied. You can face Dark Kakarot as you are, and die temperately. Or you can take this risk and maybe, just maybe, stand a chance. And what of you? Frieza asked suspiciously. What role do you play in this touching redemption story? Kaya's face hardened. I'm your early warning system, your tactical advisor. And if you fall, she paused, her young features showing steel beyond her years. I'm the backup plan, the last safeguard against Dark Kakarot achieving his ultimate goal. Which is? Vegeta demanded. To prove that power without connection is the ultimate evolution, that the universe's natural state is solitary predators, not communities. He doesn't just want to rule or destroy, he wants to prove that his philosophy is correct. That's why your alliance threatens him. It challenges his entire worldview. The weight of her words settled over them. This wasn't just a battle for survival, it was a battle for the very nature of existence. Would the universe be ruled by isolated power or unexpected connections? The neural link, Vegeta said finally. How long do we need to use it? 1 session should be enough, but be warned, you'll see everything. Every moment that made you who you are. Every decision that led to this point. Some warriors who've used it couldn't handle seeing themselves through their enemy's eyes. Frieza laughed, but it lacked his usual cruelty. How poetic. To defeat a monster, we must first face the monsters we were, or still are, Vegeta added quietly. They reached for the device together, and Kaya activated the ancient technology. As their minds began to merge, sharing decades of pain and pride, triumph and loss, one thought echoed between them. Dark Kakarot had orchestrated their meeting, but perhaps in his arrogance he'd created the very weapon that could destroy him. The synchronization began, and with it the unlikely birth of something the universe had never seen. Two of its greatest villains, learning to fight as one. The neural link activated with a sound like reality tearing. Vegeta's mind crashed into Frieza's with the force of colliding planets. Every barrier, every defense, every carefully constructed wall of pride and hatred crumbled instantly. They were drowning in each other's existence. Vegeta saw through Frieza's eyes. A child, smaller than the rest of his race, mocked for his weakness. The desperate need to prove superiority. The first kill, necessary for survival. Then more. Always more. Power became armor against a universe that showed no mercy to the weak. Frieza experienced Vegeta's memories like physical blows. A young prince watching his father kneel. The shame that burned hotter than any star. Planet Vegeta's destruction playing over and over in nightmares, the desperate need to surpass Kakarot, the low-class warrior who achieved what the prince could not. Stop it! Vegeta roared, his body convulsing. I can't! Frieza's usual composure shattered completely. But the device didn't stop. Deeper memories surfaced. Vegeta felt Frieza's fear when first hearing of the Super Saiyan legend. Not just fear of death, but fear of being surpassed, of becoming irrelevant. It was a terror Vegeta knew intimately. Frieza experienced Vegeta's moment on Namek, choosing death over servitude, the pride that mattered more than life itself, but also the quieter moments, holding his infant son, the weight of responsibility, the slow realization that strength meant protecting something beyond yourself. They saw each other's evolution, their transformations from pure villains to something more complex. Not heroes, never that, but beings capable of change, capable of growth. The Neuralink finally powered down. Both warriors collapsed, gasping, tears streaming down their faces. They'd lived each other's lives, felt each other's pain. The hatred was still there, but tempered by something else. Understanding. You, Vegeta panted, you were just as afraid as I was. And you, Frieza managed, you never had a choice either. Kaya stood over them, her expression unreadable. Now you know you're not so different. Both shaped by circumstances beyond your control. Both struggling to prove you're more than what the universe made you. Enough philosophy, Vegeta growled, pushing himself up. But when he moved, Frieza moved in perfect synchronization. They froze, staring at each other. The link, Kaya explained, it's created a temporary neural connection. You'll move as one for the next few hours. Use this time to... Alarms screamed through the station. Every screen lit up with proximity warnings, energy readings that made their scouters explode. He's here, Kaya whispered. He found us. Impossible, Frieza said. We masked our energy signatures. You masked them from normal detection. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. Dark Kakarot materialized in the center of the training hall like a nightmare given form. But I don't need to sense your energy when I can feel your fear across galaxies. He looked exactly like the Goku they remembered, but wrong. His smile held no warmth. His eyes reflected nothing but cold satisfaction. His power didn't flare or rage. It simply existed, so vast it made breathing difficult. Kaya, he said, noticing her. Gohan's offspring. I wondered when you'd show yourself. Tell me, do you have your grandfather's weakness for mercy? Try me and find out, she snarled, dropping into a combat stance. Later, perhaps. First, I want to see this alliance I've heard so much about. Dark Kakarot turned to Vegeta and Frieza. Show me this synchronized fighting. Show me how the Prince and Emperor have transcended their nature. Vegeta and Frieza exchanged glances. The neural connection hummed between them, allowing wordless communication. They moved together, their attacks flowing like water. Where Vegeta struck high, Frieza swept low. Where Frieza created distance, Vegeta pressed the advantage. For 30 seconds, they actually pushed Dark Kakarot back. Then he stopped playing. Interesting, he said, catching Vegeta's punch and Frieza's tail whip simultaneously. You've actually achieved basic synchronization, but you're still thinking like two fighters. He moved faster than thought. Vegeta felt his ribs crack before seeing the knee strike. Frieza's death beam, perfectly aimed, passed through an afterimage. Dark Kakarot was already behind him, driving him into the ground with enough force to crater the floor. You want to know the difference between us? Dark Kakarot asked, deflecting their desperate counterattack without effort. You're fighting to protect something, each other, the universe, your own pride. That makes you weak. He grabbed Vegeta by the throat, lifting him effortlessly. I fight for nothing, care about nothing. That's what makes me pure. Frieza's golden form blazed as he attacked, putting everything into a strike that could shatter planets. Dark Kakarot caught it with his free hand, not even looking. Predictable, he said, then threw Vegeta into Frieza with bone-crushing force. Kaya joined the battle, her unique style catching Dark Kakarot's attention for a moment. She moved like Gohan had, mixing human martial arts with Saiyan power. For 3 moves, she actually made him focus. Then he adapted. You fight like your grandfather, he observed, dodging her strikes with minimal effort. The same flaws, the same hope that technique can overcome power. His counterattack sent her through 2 walls. She didn't get back up. Now then, Dark Kakarot turned back to Vegeta and Frieza, who were struggling to stand. Shall we continue this disappointment, or would you prefer to die with dignity? That's when it happened. The neural link, damaged by the battle, began to malfunction. Instead of synchronizing their movements, it synchronized their power. Energy began flowing between them, mixing in ways that shouldn't be possible. What? Dark Kakarot's eyes widened slightly, the first genuine surprise he'd shown. Vegeta and Frieza screamed as their energies merged violently. Not a fusion, but something else. Something unprecedented. Saiyan pride and Arcosian cunning. Burning rage and cold calculation. 2 souls temporarily occupying the same space. Impossible, Dark Kakarot breathed. They moved, not as 2 synchronized fighters, but as something new. Every attack carried double the experience, double the instinct. When Dark Kakarot blocked Vegeta's strike, Frieza's attack was already there, guided by Vegeta's knowledge of Saiyan blind spots. When he countered Frieza's death beam, Vegeta's fist found the opening Frieza's memories revealed. For the first time in 20 years, Dark Kakarot was pushed to his limits. His power exploded outward, a transformation beyond anything they'd seen. His hair grew longer, his muscles more defined. Reality itself seemed to bend around him. "Enough!" he roared. "You want to see true power? Power without compromise?" The station began to disintegrate just from his energy output. Metal vaporized. Space itself cracked like glass. Vegeta and Frieza's synchronized state shattered under the overwhelming force. But in that moment, as they lay broken and defeated, something happened. Vegeta, acting on pure instinct, moved to shield Frieza from a killing blow. Not strategy, not calculation, just one warrior protecting another. Dark Kakarot's attack stopped inches from Vegeta's back. Why? The question came out as a whisper. Why would you protect him? Your enemy, the one who destroyed your planet, your people. Vegeta coughed blood, barely conscious. Because we chose to. That's what makes us different from you. We can choose to be more than what we were made to be. For a heartbeat, something flickered in Dark Kakarot's eyes. Confusion? Memory. It was gone before anyone could identify it. Pathetic, he said, but the word lacked conviction. He turned away. You've shown me something interesting today. This connection you've formed. It shouldn't exist. He began walking toward the exit, his power gradually reducing. Heal. Grow stronger. When next we meet, I want to see if this bond of yours can survive when pushed to its absolute limit. Wait! Kaya struggled to her feet. You're just leaving? Dark Kakarot paused at the doorway. I came to see if they could provide a challenge. They have. Barely. But, more importantly, they've given me something to think about. He looked back, and for just a moment, his expression was almost curious. Tell me, Vegeta, Frieza, this connection you've formed, does it make you stronger, or does it make you weak? Then he was gone, leaving them broken but alive. The silence after Dark Kakarot's departure felt heavier than his presence. For several minutes, none of them moved. The station groaned around them, structural integrity failing from the battle's intensity. But it held, just as they had. Barely! Frieza was the first to speak, his voice barely above a whisper. You saved me! Vegeta remained on his hands and knees, blood dripping onto the fractured floor. Don't read too much into it. I need you alive to beat him. Liar, Frieza managed, attempting to sit up and failing. The neural link. I felt your thoughts in that moment. There was no strategy, no calculation, just shut up. Vegeta growled. But there was no heat in it. Kaya limped over, medical supplies from her ship in hand. Her movements were painful but determined. He could have killed us all, easily, but he didn't. This mistake, Vegeta said. No, Kaya shook her head as she began treating their wounds. His curiosity, for the first time in 20 years, Dark Kakarot encountered something he didn't understand. Your sacrifice confused him, Vegeta. In his worldview, it shouldn't have happened. She worked in silence for a moment, applying healing salve to the worst injuries. The advanced medicine from her Hinlane worked quickly, though it couldn't fully repair the damage from such overwhelming power. We lost, Frieza stated the obvious. Even synchronized, even with everything we had, we couldn't match him. But we made him think. Kaya countered. That's more than anyone else has managed. Vegeta finally managed to sit up, wincing at his broken ribs. He looked at Frieza, really looked at him. Not as the tyrant who destroyed his world, not as his greatest enemy, but as the warrior who'd stood beside him against an impossible foe. The synchronization, he said slowly. When our powers merged, did you feel it? Frieza nodded, like nothing I've experienced. For a moment, I understood Saiyan battle instinct perfectly. And you... I felt your precision, your control. Vegeta's admission came reluctantly. It was effective. More than effective, Kaya interrupted. You achieved something that shouldn't be possible. True energy fusion without physical combination. If we can replicate it, control it, we might last 30 seconds longer next time, Frieza said bitterly. You're missing the point. Kaya's young face showed wisdom beyond her years. Dark Kakarot has spent 20 years believing that isolation equals strength, that connections make you weak. Today, you proved him wrong. Your combined power exceeded the sum of its parts. And yet we still lost, Vegeta reminded her. This time, but he left you alive. Why? Not mercy, Dark Kakarot doesn't understand the concept. He left because you intrigued him, made him question his philosophy for the first time since he killed my grandfather. The station shuddered again. Their battle had accelerated its decay. They needed to leave soon. So what now? Frieza asked, struggling to his feet. We heal, we train more, we face him again and die properly. No, Vegeta said, surprising them both. We get stronger, but differently this time. Not just our bodies or our power levels, our connection. The word felt strange in his mouth. Connection. Something the Prince of All Saiyans would have sneered at years ago. But years ago, he hadn't faced an enemy that represented everything he might have become. You're suggesting we continue this alliance? Frieza's tone was carefully neutral. I'm suggesting, Vegeta said, meeting his eyes, that we stop pretending we have another choice. Dark Kakarot is everything we were, perfected and purified. The only way to beat who we were is to become who we aren't. How poetic, Frieza mocked, but gently. The prince discovers philosophy. And the Emperor discovers loyalty, Vegeta shot back. They stared at each other for a long moment. Then, impossibly, Frieza laughed. Not his usual cruel cackle, but something almost genuine. What a pair we make, he said. The destroyer of the Saiyans and their prince are united against a Saiyan who destroys everything. The universe has a twisted sense of humor, Vegeta agreed. Kaya watched this exchange with growing hope. There's something else. When your energies merged, I detected something. A resonance frequency unique to your combination. If we can isolate it, amplify it, we can make the synchronization permanent? Vegeta asked. Not permanent, but sustainable, controllable. Instead of random power surges, you could achieve that fused state at will. And Dark Kakarot, Frieza questioned. He'll be watching, waiting, growing stronger himself. Let him, Vegeta said, steel in his voice. We'll grow stronger too. But not just in power, in something he can't understand or replicate. Trust, Kaya said simply. The word hung between them. Trust. The one thing neither Vegeta nor Frieza had ever truly given anyone. The one weapon Dark Kakarot couldn't comprehend. Fine, Frieza said finally. We continue this insanity, but when he comes for us again? We'll be ready, Vegeta promised. Not to match his power, but to show him what he's missing. What he gave up when he chose isolation over connection. They made their way to their ships, supporting each other without acknowledging it. As they prepared to leave the dying station, Kaya turned back to look at the devastation. My grandfather used to say that the strongest power wasn't in your fists, but in your bonds with others. Dark Kakarot killed him for that belief. But today, you two proved him right. Vegeta and Frieza exchanged glances. Somewhere out there, Dark Kakarot was thinking, questioning. For the first time in decades, uncertain. They'd lost the battle, but perhaps, just perhaps, they'd planted the seed of doubt that could win the war. As their ships departed the crumbling station, Vegeta opened a communication channel to Frieza's vessel. Next time, he said, we won't just surprise him. We'll show him what he could have been, what Kakarot could have been, if he'd chosen differently. Careful, Prince, Frieza warned, but his tone was almost fond. You're beginning to sound like a hero. And you're beginning to sound like an ally, Vegeta countered. The connection closed, but the bond remained. Two of the universe's greatest villains transformed by necessity into something new. The hunt for Dark Kakarot would continue, but now, for the first time, it wasn't about survival. It was about proving that even the darkest souls could choose to be more. 3 days passed in the void of space. 3 days of recovery, planning, and an uncomfortable truth settling between them. They were no longer enemies pretending to be allies. They were something else, something without a name. Vegeta's ship drifted alongside Frieza's, maintaining formation as they traveled toward Kaya's hidden base. The young woman had revealed its location only after extensive security protocols, a testament to how well she'd learned to survive in Dark Kakarot's universe. Incoming transmission, Vegeta's computer announced. Priority 1, divine signature detected. Vegeta's blood ran cold. Divine signature meant only one thing. The gods were involved. The hologram that appeared made his suspicions correct. Wiz, attendant to Lord Beerus, floated before them with his usual serene smile. But something was different. His staff showed cracks. His normally immaculate appearance seemed... Prince Vegeta, Lord Frieza, how interesting to find you together. Wiz's voice carried its usual lightness, but underneath was something else. Concern? Fear? Wiz, Frieza responded. His tone cautious. To what do we owe this unexpected pleasure? I bring a warning, and perhaps an opportunity. The angel's image flickered, suggesting interference. Dark Kakarot has done something unprecedented. He's breached the dimensional barrier between universes. He's no longer content destroying one reality. Vegeta leaned forward. He's attacking other timelines. Searching, Wiz corrected, for versions of himself. He believes that by destroying all other Galgas, he'll prove his philosophy correct, that his path was the only true evolution. Where's Beerus? Frieza asked the obvious question. Surely the god of destruction wouldn't allow this. Wiz's smile faltered. Lord Beerus engaged Dark Kakarot 7 days ago. The battle lasted 4 minutes. Silence. 4 minutes. Beerus, who could destroy planets with a sneeze, defeated in 4 minutes. He's alive, Wiz continued quickly, but sleeping, a forced hibernation that could last centuries. Dark Kakarot spared him, saying gods were irrelevant to his new order. Then why warn us? Vegeta demanded. If even Beerus couldn't stop him, what chance do we have? Because Wiss's expression grew serious, you've done something Lord Beerus couldn't. You've made him doubt. My ability to observe across timelines shows me many things, and in every reality where Dark Kakarot encounters true bonds between former enemies, he hesitates, questions. That hesitation is growing. The transmission wavered, then stabilized. There's more. In searching for other versions of himself, Dark Kakarot has awakened something. A force that exists between realities. The Time Patrol has noticed. They're mobilizing. The Time Patrol? Kaya's voice came through the shared communication. They're just a myth. Very real, I assure you, and very interested in warriors who've learned to transcend their nature. His staff glowed briefly. I've sent coordinates to your ships, a meeting point where time flows differently. If you're willing, the patrol would like to offer you resources, training, perhaps even allies from other timelines. Why should we trust this? Frieza asked, ever suspicious. Because, Whis said simply, Dark Kakarot isn't just a threat to this timeline anymore. He's becoming a threat to existence itself, and you two, impossible as it seems, represent the antithesis of everything he believes. The transmission began to fade. One last thing, Whis added urgently. The fusion you achieved, it's not unique to you. In another timeline, there's a technique, Patara fusion, permanent, irreversible. The Kais of that reality might be convinced to help if you prove worthy. Permanent fusion? Vegeta recoiled. With him? Consider it, was urged as his image disappeared. After all, what's pride compared to existence? The communication ended, leaving them with more questions than answers. The Time Patrol, Frieza mused. Allies from other timelines, it sounds like fantasy. A week ago, us working together was fantasy, Vegeta pointed out. Another alert sounded, this time from Kaya's ship. Her face appeared on screen, excitement barely contained. You need to see this. I've been analyzing the energy readings from your synchronized state. The resonance isn't just mixing your powers, it's creating something new, a transformation that doesn't exist in any database. She displayed the data, energy wavelengths that defied conventional understanding. If my calculations are correct, and they always are, full synchronization wouldn't just double your power, it would exponentially increase it, but there's a catch. There always is, Frieza muttered. The transformation requires absolute trust, not just tactical cooperation, but complete faith in each other. Any doubt, any hesitation, and it fails. Vegeta and Frieza looked at each other through their respective view screens. Absolute trust. The one thing neither had ever given anyone. There's something else. Kaya continued. I've detected unusual energy signatures near Earth. What's left of it? Someone's there. Someone powerful. Dark Kakarot? Vegeta asked. No. Different. Familiar but changed. I think we should investigate. It could be a trap, Frieza warned. Everything could be a trap, Vegeta countered. But Earth is where this started. Where Kakarot became Dark Kakarot. If there are answers, they're there. As they adjusted course toward the dead world, none of them noticed the small ship following at a discreet distance. Inside, a figure in orange and blue watched them with eyes that held a lifetime of regret. Soon, the figure whispered. Soon you'll understand. The monster you fight isn't Kakarot. It's what I forced him to become. On the opposite side of the galaxy, Dark Kakarot stood in the ruins of the Supreme Kai's world. The sacred ground was scorched, the ancient trees reduced to ash. But he wasn't satisfied. The doubt planted by Vegeta and Frieza's alliance gnawed at him. Connection makes you weak, he said to himself, as if repetition would make it true. Isolates his strength. Bonds are chains. But the words rang hollow. The image of Vegeta protecting Frieza played repeatedly in his mind. No strategy, no logic, just choice. Lord Kakarot, a survivor stammered from the rubble. Please, mercy. Dark Kakarot looked down at the wounded Kai. In another timeline, another life, Goku would have helped him, would have shown compassion. Mercy is weakness, Dark Kakarot said, but for the first time in 20 years, he hesitated before delivering the killing blow.
That hesitation lasted only a heartbeat, but it was enough. The seed of doubt had taken root.
In the void between realities, forces began to move. The Time Patrol mobilized. Gods from multiple timelines took notice. And somewhere in a reality where things had gone differently, a version of Goku felt an echo of his darkest self and shuddered. The war for Dark Kakarot's soul had begun, and Vegeta and Frieza, the unlikeliest of allies, were at its center. The question was no longer whether they could defeat him. The question was whether they could save him. Or whether in trying they would discover that some monsters chose their fate and couldn't be redeemed. Only time would tell, and time, as they were about to learn, was far more complicated than they'd ever imagined. The coordinates for Earth glowed on their navigation screens. Behind them, the mysterious follower adjusted course. Ahead, destiny waited on a dead world where it all began. Part 1 was ending, but the real story, the battle between isolation and connection, between power and purpose, was just beginning.